I didn't able to sample CFO apart from the other one which I showed actually. Maybe for the next class I could try to get from my known sources. Online I couldn't able to get any sample CFO. Okay, fine. So we are discussing the CTO update, which is under section 26. So this one where any continuation of the effluents, so where any relation they can apply in relation to the preferred section subsection 2 with respect to the state government notifications. Okay. Then we have section 27. The store board can refuse a withdrawal or in the consent given under the section 4 or section 25 if the industry operations or processes, treatment or disposal system does not comply with the conditions imposed by the board.
ஓரளவுக்கு இருக்கு.
So again, this is a straightforward requirement. So the state board can refuse or withdraw its consent given under subsection 4 or section 25 if industry operations or processes if they are not meeting the requirement. For example, waste they have given for certain quantity, you are generating more than that, so they can refuse or withdraw the consent which is issued. Or the air pollutants which are emitting, which is more than the defined, then they can refuse. Or the water discharge, you are discharging to any public sewer or any streams, but it is not allowed, then they can refuse. So whatever the conditions they have mentioned, if you're not meeting that requirements, then they can cancel your CFO. So the aggrieved person can appeal to the concerned authority if not satisfied with the order made by the Pollution Control Board regarding the restrictions on new outlets discharges under Section 25, a provision regarding the existing discharge or sewage under 26, or withdrawal of consent by the under Section 27. So here they can apply for the appeals under Section 28. So this is the refusal of the consent if they are not meeting the requirement. Okay. Then section 28 for about the appeals. So they can go against the orders which are given by the authorities. Okay. Due to an accident or unforeseen act, if any provisions or any poisonous or polluting matters is being discharged into a stream or well or sewer or land through industrial process, then in charge of such place immediately report to the Pollution Control Board and other concerned authorities. So in the case of such thing, they have to immediately inform to the authority. Okay, furnishing information or state board in certain cases. This is the requirement. So what it is, if any place where any industry, operation or process, or any treatment or disposal system, or any extension or addition thereto is being carried out on due to accident or other foreseen act event any poisonous or noxious or polluting matter is being discharged, either in the form of whatever the form, or likely to be discharged into the stream or well or any sewer or land. As a result of such discharge, the water in any stream or well is being polluted or is likely to be polluted, then the person in charge of such place shall forthwith intimate the occurrence of such accident or act even to the State Pollution Control Board. Okay. Then next requirement. The occupier of the factory should comply with the directions issued by the Pollution Control Board for the closure, prohibition of any industry operations or processes, for stoppage of supply of electricity or water, or any other provisions. This is also a similar kind of requirement. If they do stoppage of any such services, so they have to obey 33A. Make out of restriction, apparel, pollution, water streams or wells. Okay, power to give directions. So as per this, the closure, prohibition or regulation of any industry operations or processes, notwithstanding anything contained in any other law, but subject to provision of this act, and any directions that the central government may give in this behalf, a board may, or in exercise of its powers and performance of its functions under this Act, issue any directions in writing. Any person, officer, or authority of such persons, they can give the directions. Avoidance of doubts, it clearly declare the power to issue of direction under this section. A closure, prohibition, or regulation of industry operations or process, or stoppage or regulation of supply, electricity, water, or any other services. Sometimes what will happen, they have to pay any cess fees. If the organization not paying any fees also, they may stop the services. Or if the organization is polluting more, they are not caring about the operations or activities or the letters or which is given to the industry, then they will stop the supply. Okay. Then any person who fails to supply or comply with the provisions of section 32 or directions issued under section 33 or section 33A shall be liable to pay the penalty as prescribed under this act. So in the case if they are not meeting the requirements of 32, 33 and 33A, they should be penalized. They have to pay the penalty. That it is emergency measures in the case of pollution of tree, steam or vessel. So pollution measures, it is nothing but when it appears to be the State Pollution Control Board, a poisonous or noxious or polluting matter is present in any stream or well or land by reason of a discharge of such matter in such stream or well has entered into that stream or well due to any accident or other foreseen act. If the board is of opinion that it is necessary to expedite to take immediate action, it may for reason to be recorded in writing carry out such operations as it may be considered necessary for following purposes. One is removing the matter from stream, well or land and disposing it with such a manner, and also remedying or mitigating any pollution caused by its presence, or issuing orders immediately restraining or prohibiting the person concerned from the discharging. One is in the case of any such issues happen or the pollutants which are entered into any streams, then what are the actions they have to take? Immediately removing that matter, whatever the pollutant which is entered into the this thing, they have to try to remove that pollutant or taking the actions to avoid the further consequences. And third, they have to stop the polluting further from the source. Okay. Then, due to an accident, unfortunate act, poisoning, polluting substance being discharged into any stream, well, or sewer, land through industrial process, then the in charge of such place immediately report. Yes, this we have seen. Then, occupier of the factory should comply with the directions stoppage of electricity. This also we have seen. Any person who fails to comply with the provisions as mentioned shall be liable to pay the penalty under section 42. So it is simple that whatever the liabilities or the directions which are given by the government, it has to be followed. Otherwise, you will be liable to pay the penalty. So penalty for certain acts. When I say certain acts here, the behaviors of the organization. Okay, destroy, pull down, or removes injuries or defaces or pillar or post, or stake fixed or ground. A notice of matter up inscribed or placed under any authority of the board. So, in the case of any non-fulfillment of recover, whoever obstructs any person acting on under orders, anybody is restricting the people or officer movement while they're performing their duty. Whoever damages any work or property belonging to the board, that is also furnished, or whoever fails to furnish any officer or employee board any information required by him. So if they any officer asks for any information, if you are unable to provide such information, then also you will be liable for penalty. And whoever fails to intimate the occurrence of accident. So there is an accident happened, there is a spillage happened from your or within your operations, or because of your operations any pollution happened, it has to be informed. If you fail to intimate also, then you will be liable for the penalty. Then giving any information which he is required to give under this act, knowingly or willfully make a statement which is false in any material particular. So giving the false information to the board, then also you will be penalized. Okay, and also for the purpose of obtaining any consent under section 25-26, knowingly willfully makes the statement which is false in a material. For getting the license, you are giving the false information. You are mentioning for something, but you are operating other operations or different operations. Then also you will be under penalty. Okay. And any person who fails to comply with section 24, 25, 26 shall be liable to penalty. Again, same. And also an aggrieved can appeal to the national tribunal if not satisfied with the orders or adjudicating the officer. So if he is not satisfied with the orders, or sometimes those are false orders, if any received, he can fight against. So these are the provisions again. Penalty contravention. Whoever contravenes the provisions of section 24 shall be punishable with the imprisonment of term not less than 1 year and 6 months, but which extends to up to 6 years and with the fine under section 24. Under section 25-26, if you are not meeting the requirement of section 25-26, so he shall be punishable with a imprisonment of in term of not less than 1 year and 6 months, but which may extend to 6 years. Okay, this is the penalty or the punishment which you are not fulfilling the requirement of these specific sections. Okay, so we have seen for renewal of the application, which is form 8. This is the sample, just to have. Even these all publicly available, you can search, you can get it. Then Air Prevention and Control Pollution Act. So first we see the second point, hence I have the screenshot here itself. So here in the case of any accident occurs in an industrial premises and resulted in pollution, then in charge of the premises shall inform to the pollution control board. So here the requirement is furnishing of information to the state board and the other agencies in certain cases. What are the various cases we have to furnish the information? Where in any area the emission of any air pollutant into the atmosphere in excess of the standards laid down by the state board occur or is apprehended in occurrence of any accident or unforeseen acts, events, or the person of in charge from where such emission occurs or apprehended to occur shall forthwith intimate the fact of such occurrence and also apprehension of such occurrence to the state board. So in the case of any such pollution happens, we have to inform immediately. Again, it is go to the pollution control board itself, no other authorities. And also the receipt of information with respect to the fact that apprehension any occurrence of nature and also preferred through intimation of such subsection. Otherwise, the state board of authorities or agency shall, as early as practicable, causes such remedial measures to be taken necessary to mitigate the emissions of such air pollutants. So you have to inform as early as possible, whatever the means, so that they can take for immediate action for the prevention or the mitigation of such emissions. Then expenses, if any incurred by the state government authority or agency with respect to the remedial measures preferred in subsection 2 together with the interest at such reasonable rate as the state government may by order fix it the date when the demand of for the expenses is made until it is paid may be recovered by the board, authority, or agency from the person concerned as arrears of the land revenue or public draft demand. So, all the expenses which has come against the prevention or mitigation of the such pollutants, it has to be paid by the organization. Then, to establish operate any industrial plant in an air pollution control area, person shall make an application under this subsection 1 to obtain the previous consent of the state board, which is under section 21. It is the license requirement. Here we have section 21. So restrictions on use of certain industrial plants. So here no person shall establish or operate any industrial plant in an air pollution control area unless the previous consent of the state board has been obtained in pursuance of application made by the person. Second, in accordance with the provisions of this section, and also provide the central government may in consultation with the CPCB by notification of official gazette accept certain categories of industrial plants from the application of provisions of this subsection in certain areas, for example where we have high density populations or high biodiversity areas where they won't allow any highly harmful industries, for example chemicals or petrochemicals or any chemical manufacturing industries, they won't allow. So there they have to apply a notification, or otherwise sometimes you will get an official gazette for such areas. Accordingly they have to get. The application of the concerned state board subsection 1 shall be accompanied in such features or prescribed shall be made prescribed form and shall contain a particulars of industrial plant of such particulars as may be prescribed. So along with the application, we have to pay the application fee as well. Okay. Again, the state board may make such inquiry. It may be deemed to fit respect of application of the consent referred on subsection 1, and making such inquiry shall follow up the procedures may be prescribed. So once you receive any such application, state board will do an inquiry on such applications. Then within a period of 4 months after the receipt of application of a consent referred to the subsection 1, a state board shall by order in writing or for reasons to be ordered in order grant the consent applied for the subsection and conditions, and such periods may be prescribed in order or refuse such consent. So within 4 months they have to respond, they will issue the consent, or if they refuse to give the consent, then they will mention the reasons or whatever the uh, causes to refusal, why they are not giving it. And provided that it shall be open to the state board to cancel or such consent before the expiry of the period which is granted, or refuse further consent after such expiry of conditions subjected to which consent has been granted or not fulfilled. In between, for example, for the initial years, okay, you are following everything normal, but later point of time, after 1 year, you are not fulfilling any requirements. When it comes for the renewal, you will have authority to cancel the requirement. Okay. Then point number 5, every person who to whom the consent has been granted by the state board under section 4 shall comply with the following conditions, namely, one is the control equipment of such specifications as the state board may approve in this behalf shall be installed and also operated in the premises where the industry is carried on or proposed to be carried on. So the equipments which are preferred, when I say control equipments, it is nothing but pollution control equipments. So basically what happened, they'll have everything, but they won't operate. They say that, okay, it consumes so much of energy consumption. They will not run that control equipments. That is not the case. So it has to be run the equipments whenever the operations are in active. Okay. And also the existing control equipment, if any, shall be altered or replaced in accordance with the directions of the state board. Okay. In the case of any alterations, it has to be informed or replaced in accordance with the directions. In the sense, if existing equipment is not meeting the requirement, then as per the direction of the pollution control board, they have to do necessary changes. Then the control equipment referred to in clause 1 or clause 2 shall be kept at all times in good running condition. This is another requirement. It has to be kept in running all the times during the operations. And also chimney wherever necessary for such specifications as the state board may approve in this behalf shall be erected or re-erected such premises. Okay, chimneys or the stacks wherever it is required, they have to erect, and such other conditions as the state board may specify in behalf in case of any other conditions which are required, that can be implemented. And also conditions referred to the clause 1, 3 and 4 shall be complied within such period as the state board may specify in behalf. And also the provision that in the case of person operating an industrial plant in an air pollution control area, immediately before the date of declaration of such area, the air pollution control area and also the period of specified shall not be less than 6 months. Okay. So within 6 months, in the case of it is declared as a non-polluting zone, they have to stop such operations. Okay. Then further provisions, after the installation of any control equipment in accordance with the specification, any alterations or replacement or any erection or re-erection of chimneys or no control equipment chimney shall be altered or replaced as in the case may be erected or re-erected except the with previous approval of the state board. So you are not supposed to do any alterations or re-erections of the control equipment without prior notice to the pollution control board. Okay. If due any technological improvements or otherwise, the state board is of opinion that all any other conditions referred in subsection 5 requires a variation including the charge of any control equipment either in whole or part. The state board shall have to giving the person to whom the consent has been granted an opportunity to being heard or vary all any such conditions, and thereupon such person shall be bound to comply with the conditions as so varied. So in the case of any technological changes or the technology not available, so here the state board will give an opportunity to listen such things from the occupier. Also, where the person to whom the consent has been granted by the state board of section 24 transfers his interest in the industry to any other person, such consent shall be deemed to have been granted to such other person, and he shall be found to comply with the all conditions subjected to which it was granted, as if the consent was granted to him originally. So it is simple that to transfer of the license which is given on one person to other person on his interest. Okay. Then we have noise regulation and controls rules, which is 2000. So here the noise level in any area or zone shall not exceed the ambient air quality standards in respect of noise as specified in the schedule. So here is the schedule we have. So industrial area, commercial area, residential area, silence zones. So these are the various zone code. So A is industrial, B is talking about commercial, C is residential, and also D is silence zones. So accordingly, they have to act. Okay, daytime and nighttime. Then we have any person desiring to use a loudspeakers or a public addressing system shall obtain a permission from the concerned authority, which is 5.1, a license requirement. A loudspeakers, which is restriction use of loudspeakers or public addressing systems and also sound producing instruments. A loudspeaker or public address system shall not be used except after obtaining a written permission from the authority. That's where we used to get the approvals from the police department for setting up of any music, especially in the any festivals or events. And a loudspeaker or public addressing system, any sound preceding instrument or musical instrument or sound amplifier shall not be used at night time except in closed premises for communication within like auditoria or conference room, community hall, banquet hall, or during a public emergency. So they are not supposed to use such loudspeakers during such situations. Okay. So here we have explanation for the purpose of subsection rule. The expressions festival occasion shall include any national function or state function as notified by the central or state government, or national function or state function shall include Republic Day, Independence Day, or State Day, such days as notified by the central government of this act. The noise level of such boundary or public place where the loudspeaker or public address system or any other source is being used not exceed the 10 dBA above the ambient noise quality for the area 75 dB, whichever is lower. I mean, maximum 85 dBA. But practically, if you ask me, this is not possible, but we have the requirement. Who is maintaining 75 dB? Everybody will go with 100, also, especially when they set up a DJ and all, it goes beyond the level. Then no horn or firecracker shall be used in silence zones of during night times. So this is also 5A requirement. crackers, restriction of use of horns, sound emitting construction equipments, and bursting firecrackers. This is also a requirement. No horn shall be used in silence zones or during night time in residential areas except during public emergency. Also, sound emitting firecrackers shall not be burst in silence zone or during night time, and sound emitting construction equipment shall not be used in operating during night time in residential area and silence zones. So we are not supposed to be used, especially if you see in the near the hospitals, they used to put do not horn or do not sound or horn restriction area like that. Then whoever commits any offenses in silence zone area, he shall be liable for penalty under the provisions of the act. Okay, when I say penalty, this is the contravention, which means who is not meeting the requirement. Consequences of any violation in silence zone or area: whoever in place covered under the silence zone or area commits any following offense, he shall be liable for penalty under the provisions of the act. Whoever plays any music or uses any sound amplifiers, whoever beats a drum or I don't know tom tom or blows a horn, either musical or pressure, trumpets or beats or sounds any instrument, whoever exhibits any mimetic or musical performance, whoever bursts sound emitting crackers, and whoever uses any loudspeakers or public addressing systems without any permission, they will be penalized. Then a person can complain to the concerned authority if there is a violation of any provisions of these rules. That is the right of an citizen, where complaint to be made to the authority. A person may, or if the noise level exceeds the ambient noise standard by 10 dB or more given in according column against any areas or zones, if there is a violation of any provision of these rules regarding the restrictions imposed during the night time, make a complaint to the authority. The authority shall take a complaint and take action against the violator in accordance with the provisions of these rules or any other law in a force. So immediately, when I say authority, immediately will inform to the police. That is the use practice happen. Okay, that is about the noise with respect to specific. Okay, any questions? No. So I'm stopping here. We have last 3 minutes. If you have any questions, we can discuss and we can continue uh, further. Static mobile pressure vessels rules. Then we have public liability insurance. Then hazardous waste management rules. Employee State Insurance Act, which is ESIC. Public liability insurance, workman compensation. Okay. So we have one more minute. If you have any questions, we can discuss.